Good morning, everybody. How you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. I think I'm in my second week or third week in Guyana. Guyana, not Ghana. It's Guyana, which is it, I would say an Afro-Caribbean country that's located in South America. People may debate exactly what it is, but I know there's a lot of black folks here. There are a lot of people here from India also, and a big part of that history is because um, there was a time where they tried to enslave the black people here, and they didn't take well to slavery. They have a great statue of a guy from 17, I think the mid 1700s, something like that, early 1700s, who's holding a machete, and he's basically saying, "If you try to make me a slave, it ain't happening. It ain't happening, dog." So look it up. Look it up. Saying Guyana, Guyana. And so after they couldn't enslave the blacks, they started bringing over Indians as indentured servants. So they were low paid slaves, but they were still paid. And so here now, a lot of the social dynamic is built around blacks and Indians, it appears. White folks are here a little bit, but they don't really seem to be running things. It seems that a lot of the politics, everything is run by either black people or Indian people. Sometimes they get along, sometimes they don't. I'm still learning. I'll let you know more about it. If you want to follow my journey at all, I'm posting pictures on all social media platforms as I go along. Pictures, comments, whatever. You can use the hashtag Dr. Boyce Guyana, Dr. Boyce Guyana. Now, let me remind you before we begin. First and foremost, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Please also encourage your family to subscribe because I think that we've proven that here in the professor's house, you're going to get something that's a little bit different from what you get anywhere else. I wasn't a college professor for over 24 years for nothing. Most of the people that watch this channel walk away different people. You're learning something. We're having intelligent discussions. And I believe that's what it means to be black. I believe that's what blackness is all about. I don't think blackness is about coonery. I think somebody taught you that. I think somebody told you that being black meant that you're supposed to have more black folks show up to watch a Mayweather fight than to show up to watch an intelligent debate between two smart people who are going to somehow help shape the direction of this country. And not that I'm one of those people. I'm just saying that it's fascinating to me the status symbols that we feel that we have to be attached to. Like, oh, Floyd Mayweather's having a fight. I got to be at the fight. I got to be looking fly. I got to be the coolest guy in the room. I'm wearing my shades. I got to be, decked out with a three-piece suit. Whatever. Like, I got to be sitting next to this famous actor or whatever. And it's all good to do all that, but it's kind of like, what is it with the fact that there's a greater sense of urgency when it comes to sports or entertainment or both, which is that's what a Mayweather fight might be. And there's not any sense of urgency when it comes to education and economics. There's not any sense of style. There's not any sense of coolness, the cool factor. Like, okay, it's not so cool for me to be counting Mayweather's money and to know what's going on with Mayweather's fight. I mean, if you ask me if I watched any of his fight, I'd be like, yeah, I saw some of it. It was interesting. I watched about 3 rounds till I fell asleep. But if you ask me about my situation, are you feeding your kids? How is your life as a black man? Are you succeeding in this world? What books did you read? How are you making sure that your children are protected from white supremacy? Those are the things I get enthusiastic about. If you want to know what really gets me going, what really gets me excited, it's a good, stimulating intellectual conversation about some deep, complex issue that will help us understand the world in a meaningful way. Because understanding the world is your key to freedom. A lot of times the reason we feel like slaves is because we don't understand what's happening to us. Other people understand the game better than we do. So because they understand the game, that means that when you show up and you play the game, you don't even know what game you're playing, first of all. And then when you figure out what game you're playing, you don't know the rules. You don't know the strategies to win. You ain't got no equipment. You ain't got no training. Because your ass was sitting there thinking about the fucking Mayweather fight. Excuse my French. I get started and I start cussing. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna try to slow it down. But really, seriously, black people. I mean, what do you really understand the game? Well, you talk about white supremacy, stay woke, and all that. I mean, but do you really understand white supremacy and how it works and why the white man has control over your life? Do you even really know? Do you understand what preparation it took for 50 years in advance? Do you understand that to control 2017, you had to begin implementing strategies in the year 1957, 1967, maybe 1937. So if you ain't trying to understand 2017 until 2017, then you about 50, 60, 70 years behind in the game. It's like me trying to, it's like me trying to tackle a guy where he got a 100-yard running start and I'm standing still. He's going to run me over. When you look around and you think about all of this, and this is important to understand. I told you guys about Sun Tzu in The Art of War. In The Art of War, Sun Tzu says that battles are won before they even start. That basically everything you see around you, every challenge you have, every white supremacist structure, every type of slavery that you're stuck in, they've planned that. That was planned. That was built. And when I hear a lot of black folks, becoming conscious, protesting for Colin Kaepernick and everything else, I'm sitting there thinking, what are you building? What are you planning? What is your 50-year, what is your 100-year plan? If we don't have a 100-year plan, then we can't win white supremacy. We can't win the battle. We're not going to win the battle by just being emotional and yelling and screaming every time we get mad because somebody done hurt our feelings. That ain't going to win the battle of white supremacy. I'm sorry, I hate to say it. Maybe I sound like an ass. Maybe I sound like a jerk. Maybe some people think I'm a coon. But you can't win the battle of white supremacy when you ain't got no plan. How you going to win a battle in a war without a battle plan? The coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers expect to win the Super Bowl without planning, without doing a lot of X's and O's? Gentrification. You complain all day about gentrification in your neighborhoods where white folks have decided that they like the inner city again. They're not scared of black people. And they're coming in, they're buying up everything they can get their hands on. And you complain, where, it ain't right. Where, they taking our community. Where, they look at what they doing. Where, it used to be all black here. Now you pushing black people out. Where, and they don't care. They don't care because they understand Claude Anderson better than you do. They understand powernomics better than you do. They understand that power, as Dr. Anderson describes it, and a lot of people would agree with this, power is not so much about the ability to just kind of impose your will on other people necessarily. It's about the ability to impose your will despite the resistance of others. To be thorough, that's what it means. It means that even if somebody doesn't like it, even if somebody's where, or somebody tries to stop you, you still move forward. You ain't even got to yell and scream with them. They can do all the yelling and screaming. Let them put their energy into yelling and screaming. The powerful person puts their energy into planning and execution. You understand? Because yelling and screaming and whining and crying and bitching is a strategy that is used by a person who has no other options, who has no other tactic, who has no other resources. So whenever you see us, getting together, fight the power, this ain't right, hell no, we won't go, and let's hold another march or rally. What you're really kind of saying is that the reason I'm yelling, screaming, bitching, and whining is because I don't have anything else that I can do. I don't have anything else I can accomplish. Now, I'm going to put something in here that I have to send. I've sent a quick note to my assistant. But do me this favor. While you are, while I do this, do me a favor. Write down this URL. Write down drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. Go to drboycewatkins.net. You can get a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar. You can also get a free class on how to begin your wealth building journey. You can also be on our list to remain connected to us as we finish up our Black-owned social media network. We are working on it. The engineers are giving me status updates regularly, and I've been staying on their butts because I want this sucker done. I'm back on Facebook now. But I have a bitter taste in my mouth when it comes to Facebook. I feel that Facebook is a racist company. I don't want to be dependent on Facebook or any of these social media platforms. So the great challenge for this year and the next 3 to 5 years probably is to build as many spaces for black people to congregate and speak as we possibly can that don't sort of lie under the massive domain of Facebook. So do that for me. Write down drboycewatkins.net. Also, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button, whatever buttons you see. Make sure you hit them so that we can be connected. And also, please be a part of this. Don't just watch. If you're just watching and enjoying this, and you're not really telling other people, I beg to ask you if you could do a little bit more. I really would love it because the thing is, we can't win this if it's like Boyce Watkins out here just hustling hard, as one man. I'd love for you to really, take what I share with you and empower yourself with that, because Black Power ain't something that belongs to any one person. It belongs to all of us. The light of Black Power is not something that should just shine through a couple of individuals that where we look at them as centers of attention. It should shine through all of us. You are the center of attention, just like I am. So if you can tell people about the revolution that's happening now, I really believe this is a revolution. I've dedicated my life to it. I've been very consistent with this every day, in and out, nonstop, for 20 years, actually, since 1995 when I wrote my first article in the University of Kentucky paper. So I guess 22 years, something like that. And then I was fighting the power behind the scenes when I was at Syracuse University, which was one of the most horrible experiences ever. And it actually inspired some of what I'm talking about this morning because it makes me think about slavery. And one of the things I was telling someone today is I said, it's funny. I was telling this to another scholar. I said, one of the things that was interesting about my career trajectory was people got kind of upset with me. My Black Power friends got a little upset with me when I stopped being angry at white people as much as I was before. It didn't mean that I approved of the behavior collectively of white America. I don't. It doesn't mean that I'm happy about anything that I'm seeing. I'm not. But I realized that the reason I stopped being angry and stopped whining is because I actually had some options. I created options for myself. I chose to create options. It was a deliberate strategy. I started analyzing. I felt like a slave. I felt like, man, like, wow, I've got all this education and I went to all these fancy schools. And I mean, Black men, go look around. I want you to tell me if you know any Black person anywhere who has a legitimate PhD in finance. I was the only one in the United States, only Black person in the United States to get a PhD in finance in 2002. There was nobody. So you're thinking, oh, I'm a rare unicorn. I've achieved this great thing. It was hard as hell. I'm talking about studying 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for damn near a decade. That's how intense it was. It was unlike anything you can ever imagine. And you would think, you're in this rare air, like, okay, it shouldn't be a problem getting a job. You shouldn't have to deal with the racism the way that you did before because, I proved that I'm good, blah, 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 blah. That's what you think when you're young. Then you find out that it doesn't matter. Now you're just an educated nigga. You used to be a broke nigga. Now you might be a paid nigga. You used to be a uneducated nigga. Now you're doctor nigga. And I remember just going to work every day at Syracuse University, and I hated the environment I was in. I didn't think it was right that I was being punished for doing work that involved Black people. And I didn't understand the implicit contract. The implicit contract was, at least in the field of finance and business, which is pretty conservative, was that, it was almost like they will let you in to our academy, into our space, as long as you leave the niggas behind, as long as you aren't truly in the trenches with Black people. You could talk about it in a polite kind of way. Like you could tell your cute little story at a faculty meeting about how you came from the ashes or came from the projects and a white man saved you and now you're a professor. But you can't really dig in there. You can't really bring, and sure as hell don't bring these people around here. It was kind of like that sort of attitude. And it's not just there. It's just sort of a general elitism that I wasn't really aware of when I first got started. But, at that point, I started looking for options. I started figuring out, like, okay, how do I get out of this? Like, I spent my whole life trying to get here. Now that I'm here, I hate it. And so that's when I started thinking about, I said, well, wait a minute. What's really going on here? Like, why am I even putting up with this? Why do I have to deal with this abuse every day? And this is an exercise I think everybody can kind of go through. You got to ask yourself, if that white man's frustrating you and stressing you out, making you unhappy and miserable and got you going home, getting ulcers and hypertension and everything, why are you putting up with it? Why do you let that person do that to you? Why don't you just quit? Why don't you just walk away? Why don't you just cuss the person out? And what I found was that the number one barrier was financial. It was about the system that we were in. Give me 1 second here. Okay, sorry, I had to put this in there. But it's about a system. A lot of people talk about white supremacy, and they think of it as an attitude, like, oh, I went to the grocery store and that white lady thought she was better than me. or I saw a toothless redneck, who said, Black Lives Matter is filled with dumb Negroes, and I'm mad now because I can't believe these hillbillies are saying horrible things about me. That's not what white supremacy is. And again, I ask yourself as an intelligent black person, why do you care what an uneducated, toothless redneck in Tennessee thinks about you? As long as he ain't trying to pull out a gun and shoot you, in which case, at that point, then it becomes a different conversation. But most of them get on websites and they talk crazy, or they'll talk about black people around the dinner table, and I think that we are looking for love in all the wrong places. Because white folks are like your parents, you tend to sort of look for love from your parents. And when you find out your parents are saying things about you that aren't very nice, it hurts your feelings. Whereas I know I could probably if I call a rich white man a cracker, he's gonna laugh. He's not gonna hunt me down so he can spend his busy day marching and rallying in front of my house, saying, "How dare you call me a cracker? How dare you? It's wrong." And we need to change the heart and mind of Boyce Watkins to make him stop calling white people crackers and to like us and respect us for who we are and what we've contributed to Boyce Watkins. I don't think any white man's gonna really do that. So anyway, digging deeper, it led me to really realize that in my own journey, I remember just sitting there thinking, okay, so the reason I'm putting up with this stuff from these racist sons of bitches is because I feel like I need this job. I feel like I need this career. I know that if I get outspoken, and even if I'm telling the truth, if I speak the truth on race, I'm gonna get blackballed, so that white universities won't hire me. For some people, they see that as the end of everything. They see that as the end of their life. And one of the things I think that black professionals have to understand is that you can't let a white supremacist system define where your life starts and where your life ends. You can't do that. It's a very dangerous, risky position to be in, and you're giving away a lot of power when you do that. When you let somebody decide when you're going to feel good about yourself, or you let them decide when you're going to feel like it's all over and you have to kill yourself, or you're depressed now, you're drinking and using drugs and taking psychiatric meds because they took something away from you. You have to ask yourself, why do I let this person who hates me have that much power over me in the first place? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, it's no different from a teenage kid who wants to kill himself because some ugly, annoying, evil, selfish girl doesn't like him anymore. What would you say to that kid? You would say, what's wrong with you? There's other fish in the sea. She doesn't deserve you. You're better than that. Come on, let's go out. Let's go. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Let's go out to the club. Let's see if we can find some other pretty girls, make you forget about that girl. And that's what black people do. Black people have a hard time fighting white supremacy because you are hopelessly in love with white supremacy. You are hopelessly in love with white people. You are hopelessly in love with the people who hate you the most. And it doesn't mean white people are bad. I'm not, or all bad or horrible people. I'm not trying to say that. Let's make sure that's clear. This is not a anti-white conversation, because I think that you're giving other people too much power to somehow conclude that the solutions to solving the white supremacist problem all lie in the hands of the white man. You're giving him too much power. Again, it's like the kid who's in love with the girl, and you're saying, well, let me go talk to the girl, and she needs to treat him better. He ain't never going to feel good about himself until she decides to treat him better. Well, what if she never decides to treat him better? I say, be gone, motherfucker. Seriously, a person with self-esteem would never let somebody do that to them. And now I'm a guy like everybody listening right now. There's been times where you get played, where somebody gets in your head like that. Where some girl that doesn't deserve it. I talk all the time about this dumb girl I dated when I was at University of Kentucky who treated me really horribly, and I was with her for probably 2.5 years, which was 2.5 years too long. And I learned from that experience. I learned that I have value, that I am somebody, that I can do better than that. She wasn't even cute, So it's just kind of like, well, what was I doing? Well, it was self-esteem, man. That's all it was. So black folks, you have a problem with slavery. You were taught to be a slave because one of the first most valuable things you do to implement a system of slavery is you make sure your slaves don't have any self-esteem. So that's what they did. They killed your power when they killed your self-esteem, because somebody who has high self-esteem can't be no slave. They're like, nah, man, you got the wrong one. Up here, it goes you in Guyana, slavery did not work because the black people here were like, what are you talking about? We're not slaves. We read. I think the literacy rate in Guyana is very, very high. I'm not sure. I have to double check it, but like, no, we're not, we don't do well with slavery. So what are you talking about? In fact, there are black people here who think that they are better than everyone else, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it's just a fact. It's all mindset, man. It's all mindset. So anyway, before I move on, let me remind you, the All Black National Convention takes place in Louisville, Kentucky on September 29th through October 1st. You can learn more by visiting allblacknationalconvention.com. And this is Alicia. She's nice enough to bring me some food. So now y'all see her. This is this is my special friend in case anybody's wondering. Now y'all know. Now y'all know all my business. So, but she put herself out here. So I typically don't put my relatives, loved ones, or family members on camera that often, unless they specifically ask to be. So since she walked in and and she's just really nice lady. Very smart, and also she makes food for me and stuff, and I don't even ask her to, which is really cool, right? So guys, if you're looking for a good woman, like pick somebody like that. Pick somebody that can really have your back and keep you calm and make you happy and all that. And so anyway, okay, enough of that. Okay, so moving on. The All Black National Convention takes place September 29th through October 1st in Louisville, Kentucky. You can also learn more by going to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Secondly, if you're in London, I'll be in London in October. You can go to drboycelondon.com to buy tickets and get ready. And with all the people that have emailed me about coming to London, you guys better show up because the tickets don't cost that much. And y'all been asking me to come to London for I don't know how many years. So I'm putting it on y'all. Y'all better if y'all don't show up, I'm gonna talk bad about you for a long time. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But anyway, I look forward to seeing you guys when I get there. And the other thing too is if you go to if you want to check out some of our programs for kids, stuff like that, we just launched a real estate program for children, and that's just the beginning. We have so many other things. We have literally Sesame Street like layouts on financial literacy. I've been developing this for years. I want because this is part of my master plan. My master plan is that I want black children in the next generation to take the lead when it comes to financial literacy and wealth building. I don't want our kids sort of hanging on and surviving. That's not fun. It's not interesting to say I survived. We spent 300 years talking about what we've survived and overcome. So what I'm asking you to do is really practice every day shifting your thinking to say, I'm not a survivor, I'm a thriver. I'm not somebody just getting by. I'm a person who wins. I'm not a person who's avoiding domination. I'm a person who is seeking to dominate. Not in a way you're going to harm other people. I'm not saying, become a jerk or mean to other people, but I'm talking about where you stand out so far, you're doing a Venus and Serena on the rest of the world. You stand out so far that they can't help but to sit back and say, man, they are a force to be reckoned with. And so the reason I put so much energy into our children's programs, I mean, y'all know about the Black Wealth Boot Camp and all that. The reason I put so much energy into the children's program is because I have seen up close examples where, I saw a kid where when he was 9, 10, his dad had drilled him on just very basic concepts of wealth and money and investing, what it means to make an investment, consumer versus producer, capital, what is capital, how do you make a real estate transaction, excuse me, all of that. And this kid was a millionaire by the time he was 20. He never, ever thought about getting a job. All he ever thought about was making moves. He wasn't trying to survive in the game. He was a player in the game. He wasn't just a player. He was the coach, the player. He was the coach, the player, the superstar, the owner of the team. He was all of that. He wasn't just trying to get onto the playing field. So for black people, we have to sort of get beyond this idea of saying, let's create a level playing field. We have to get to the point where we say, let's just design our own plane. Let's design a playing field. Let's just own the whole damn stadium. We're gonna own the whole league. We're gonna own every single team. We're not going to look for somebody to give us a contract. We will be writing contracts for other people. That's a mindset. So that's what our Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program is all about. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. I hope you'll give it a try. Like I said, I mean, the real estate program right now, it doesn't cost a whole lot more than what people spent to watch the Mayweather fight. And I know that Mayweather fight made $500 million. My hope is that I could get black folks to be as interested in something that's going to affect their children for the next 100 years as they are in a fight that will last, an hour or two. That's the thing. That's where we die. That's where we lose. We get more excited over things that are temporary and fleeting than we get about things that are permanent and lasting. If you think about it, even if you look at the way people make babies, it's like you're literally ruining the next 30 years of your life and somebody else's life because you're trying to get a quick orgasm or because you don't want to wear a condom. What kind of thinking is that? That's insanity. That's an extreme lack of discipline. A person with a lack of discipline is expected to be dominated because you're behaving like an animal. Animals get trained and animals get whipped into condition. Animals get domesticated. So if you're thinking like an animal, which means you're not planning ahead, you're not thinking strategically, you're not moving forward in a disciplined fashion, then you're pretty much built for slavery. Slavery is built for people who think that way. Now, let me tell you about something. As you know, my favorite book is Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. I've gone through different passages in the book over time. And there's something here I want to hit you with because it was on my mind. I was meditating on it this morning when I was just thinking about slavery and what it means. While I take one bite of my oatmeal, do me a favor. If you haven't hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button on whatever social media platform you're watching, please take 1 second to do that while I chew my oatmeal. 1 second. It's really good. And I just don't want to waste it while it's hot. Okay. So I hope you hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button. And you told your friends while I was doing that. Okay. So this is on page 165 from the book Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. This is one of the books, along with Powernomics, that I think should be required reading for every black child in America. Dr. Amos Wilson also has another great book that we'll go into as well called The Blueprint for Black Power. I believe that's the title. I got to double check to make sure, but I would have brought my copy with me to Guyana, but the luggage requirement, the weight requirement of luggage, I think the book was so heavy, it would have made my luggage too heavy. But when I get back, we'll dig into that. So he says the psychological and social conditioning process. Now he's talking about how you were conditioned to be a slave. He says the national public policy on blacks was structured to incorporate the psychological and social conditioning process for blacks and whites that evolved over the course of American history. Slaveholders' absolute power over blacks allowed them to operate an efficient and effective slavery conditioning system. Slaveholders constructed internal controls on slaves that minimized the external force necessary to control them. So what he's saying is that, if I can control your mind, I don't have to control your body. And so what you got to realize is what you're up against, black people, is that you're kind of dealing with about 250 years of the most horrible conditioning known to man. While we might get upset and mad when we see black folks do crazy stuff out in public, the fact is that this was 250 years in the making. So in order for us to break out of this, it's going to take a consistent effort. It's not just going to naturally happen. You can't lean on pre-existing black culture in its entirety as a pathway to black liberation. Let me say that again. You cannot lean on what we perceive to be black culture to provide you the tools that are going to get you out of this horrible situation and to achieve black liberation. You can't. You can't. It's like if I've spent, 5 years training as an athlete, and the doctrine that I've been given is, okay, you get up every day and you eat donuts and you sit on the couch and watch Empire, and that's going to prepare you for the Olympics. If that's the training and the culture that I built for myself as an athlete, that's not going to help me raise my game. The only thing that will help me raise my game is to change my thinking in its entirety. Now, it might seem disloyal, for me to fire my coach or for me to change whatever tradition I've had in my household for all that time. But if I want something different, I'm gonna have to do something different. If I do the same thing I've been doing, I'm gonna get the same results I've been getting. So for black people, if you keep doing the same thing you've been doing for 250 years, you're gonna get the same thing you've been getting. You're gonna get exactly what has been fed to black people for since we came over on slave ships. A big fat dose of white supremacy, a big fat dose of nigga I don't care, a big fat dose of whining black leaders who all work for white folks, who are on white TV networks, doing what white people want them to do. You're gonna get a whole bunch of whining black people who are mad because we broke, but don't nobody want to learn nothing about financial literacy. Everybody want to know about the Mayweather fight, but Mayweather ain't writing your black ass no check. Mayweather doesn't write checks to black people. Mayweather writes checks to European car companies. That's what he does. Maybe he writes checks to black people around him, but not to the black community, not in a way that's significant. Now, when you tell me Mayweather just gave, $10 million to a school system, maybe we're making progress. Or he's, started a company in a black neighborhood that's, where he's invested 20 million of his own money, then maybe that makes sense. But for now, he's not really doing anything in your household. So why are you worshiping his activities more than you're worshiping your own? Why are you paying more attention to what's happening in a fight or what's happening on TV? Lee Daniels pretty much hates black people. Lee Daniels has no respect for the black community. Lee Daniels has openly discussed the fact that he aligns himself with gay people and Jews because that's who has all the power in Hollywood. So why are you spending more time watching Empire than you're spending, watching an episode of Let's Get Our Family Out of This Bullshit? I would say that if you really have self-esteem, again, it goes back to self-esteem. If you really have self-esteem, you spend less time worried about what other people are doing than you spend worried about what you're doing. You spend less time being overly loyal to what somebody else has built than you spend thinking about what you're building yourself. Doesn't mean you don't participate and support what other people's projects and things like that. But you must understand that you give the bulk of your labor and the bulk of your time, the bulk of your psychological energy to white institutions that hate you. If you hate white supremacy so much, then why do you keep contributing to it? Because you don't hate it. You're a person who says, I hate Cheetos, but you eat Cheetos every day for lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Let's keep going. And you work at the Cheeto factory. So let's keep reading. The government provided the environment for the legal framework that allowed the conditioning process to exist and to operate for 250 years. The slaveholders conditioned blacks to serve as good slaves. The effects carried over into the freed black society and affected the general behavior of blacks as a race of people. So here's the point he's making there. What he's saying is that, your conditioning during slavery spilled over into, free society where you have, people talk about the slave mentality. Well, that's very, very real. Here's what he says. He says, in Table 10, it indicates some of the major goals, techniques, and strategies employed in the conditioning process that forged a helpless, submissive, and manageable labor force. Look at those three words, helpless. Helpless is when you don't feel empowered to really do anything. You feel that your environment is out of your control. That's one of the key triggers of stress and depression. That's why you have so many black people that are depressed. Or that's why you have so many black people who get angry at someone like me, because I'll say, actually, black man, you really aren't helpless. You actually do have ways you can solve this problem. Maybe you put down, let's put down the weed for a minute. Let's pick up some books. I'm not talking about every brother sitting around smoking weed, but that's kind of a trend. We get enthusiastic about our right to smoke weed or our right to, go to the club and get drunk. But my question is, are you equally enthusiastic about your right to put books on your iPhone and read books all day? Are you equally enthusiastic about getting together with your homeboys and learn how to start a business? Or are you more enthusiastic about the Mayweather fight? Think about how much energy you put into preparing for a sporting event and ask yourself, do you put that same energy into preparing for an educational or economic power building event? Black woman, you will go and get your hair done by any means necessary. You will spend your last dollar. You'll go through a very deep, very thorough appraisal process of anyone that you consider, to possibly allow to have access to your hair. You will spend lots of money. You've given probably tens of thousands of dollars to hairstylists over the years. I'm not knocking you for that. I think it's fine. You're beautiful. That's what you're supposed to do. Or I guess if that's what you think you're supposed to do, then I'm good with that. I respect it. Black women are amazing. But my question is, are you equally intense when it comes to having an equally thorough review process of your children's performance at school, or their tutor that you hire on the side to ensure that they get additional education added on to whatever white supremacist doctrine that they've learned at the public school? Are you equally enthusiastic about making sure that your children are enrolled in special programs to give them that chance to get ahead educationally, to get ahead economically, to avoid the very same problems that many of us complain about on a day-to-day basis? I'm not simply trying to say that we are lost and that everything we do is a waste and that everything needs to stop. What I'm here to say is I need you to sort of, analyze yourself, analyze your enthusiasm. When I look at a young black man and I say, okay, you're telling me that you got 4 babies mamas that are driving you crazy and you can't pay the child support. And my question is, are you as enthusiastic about being there for your children in every way, sacrificing for your children, where your last dollar is spent, making sure your child gets emotional and financial support? Are you as enthusiastic about doing that as you were about going to that girl's house and trying to get some ass? How much preparation did you put into going to get that piece of ass? Did you go out and buy a special outfit? Did you spend a little bit of money? Did you spend a lot of time? Did you strategize and prepare? Did you do all of that to go get some sex? But then you don't do all of that when it comes to taking care of your kids. Or did you put that same energy into the other things that matter in your life, like getting an education, saving money, making an investment, learning how to start a business, all the things that are going to make you empowered? Do you put as much energy into those things as you do into the things that are fun? Because, the thing is that in the black community, one of the challenges that we run into is that there's sort of this huge veil of immaturity that's sort of thrust onto the black community. We have become largely a community of teenagers. We get caught up in, doing the whip and the nae and the electric slide and, and Beyonce's twins and all the celebrity gossip. That becomes kind of the talk of the community, whereas the more serious issues, kind of get left off the table. Are we, if we got together and if somebody said, let's hold a, excuse me, a Black Economic Summit. Let's get together let's get together 1 million black people who will want to get together to talk about building economic power for the community. And we're going to get everybody to give, $10 a month to a massive fund that will be used to build economic institutions and buy entire blocks. I would have a hard time getting support for that. Don't get me wrong. I know that you got some enthusiastic soldiers that are sitting here watching, but the problem is your numbers are low. I'll never get as many numbers as, say, a black man. I saw this black man on a YouTube channel. His name was Oprah Siverson. And I watched this dude, and all he did was coon and laugh, nigga this, nigga that. And he had like 1 million subscribers on his channel. I'm not hating on it. God bless him for that. But the thing is that you are attracted to coonery. You love to see yourself as a child. You love to see yourself as the laughing stock, as the joke. There's nothing masculine or strong about the black man who is always giggling, laughing, looking for the liquor and the weed, or calling himself a nigger, or just being a clown. There's nothing threatening about this. There's nothing competitive about that. There's nothing that makes the white man look at that and say, man, whoo, that that guy represents, he's a force to be reckoned with. No, they're looking at him, they're laughing. They're thinking, this dumb, uneducated idiot, who unfocused, undisciplined, ain't got a plan, he will never be a threat to me. But he might make a good slave. I throw a couple of dollars in that nigga's pocket, he'll do whatever I tell him to do. That's what they want. They don't want black men to be men. And your biggest problem is that you're looking to white folks to build men for you, which is the biggest, most hilarious thing in the world, right? You're looking at these white schools with white female teachers, and you're saying, well, why don't you excuse me, do better with my son and raise him to be an empowered and intelligent black man. They're not going to do that. Why would they ever care about doing that? I mean, that's crazy. That's cultural. That's something you're supposed to be doing. That's like a mama saying, "Why don't you breastfeed my baby?" No, they're gonna be like, "No, these are my titties." They're not going to be thinking like, "Oh yeah, well you poor little thing, you can't breastfeed your own child, so I'll do it for you." And so, my point in all that is to say, and I'm gonna keep going, is that the slave mentality is kind of everywhere. Part of the symptom of this is that it's easy to rally black people around some entertainment, somebody singing, dancing, rapping. It's easy to rally black people around a sporting event. I'm talking about millions of people all on the same page, everybody talking about it. It's easy to rally black people around celebrities because white people create these black celebrities and they become objects of your attention. Again, like a child, like how children like shiny things, you like shiny stars. Like, oh my gosh, Taraji, I just admire you so much. I just love you so much. Why do you love Taraji? I mean, she was in a few movies, but what makes her sort of the source of your inspiration on a day-to-day basis? Well, a lot of it's because you don't have any inspiration around you. You don't have anything else that you were guided toward to look up to. You look at comedy. Black people, it's easy to gather black people around comedy. Again, that's why I saw some dude, I think his name was Sharquisha or something, and he was dressed like a woman and he does like female dances and stuff and all this stuff, and black people love that. We love all of this, but then what happens is that you at the same time are complaining about white supremacy when white men when you sit there doing all of this and going to the party. Oh, they're sitting in boardrooms and they're making plans on how they're going to exterminate you, how they're going to take your property, how they're going to lie to and miseducate you with propaganda, and how they're going to control your life. So after you finish doing this and the party and paying attention to what's going on at the club and all your favorite viral videos that you wake up, you come out Monday to the grown folks arena and you ain't ready to compete because you haven't been living as an adult. You've been living as a kid. Because that's all you're thinking about is the party, right? So I want you to pay attention. I want you to look on the internet. And I want you to pay attention to the fact that the majority of what black people tend to get enthusiastic about is either whining and complaining, not really solving a problem. But the things that go viral tend to be things where we're either complaining about the way we're being treated, or something related to comedy, sports, entertainment, celebrities, or whatever. And Nielsen actually did a study where they said black people worship celebrities so much. They told corporations, if you want to make money from black people, just tell a celebrity to tell them to buy your product, and they will buy the product because they don't think for themselves. They will go and they will buy whatever the celebrity tells them to buy. This is what they say about you when you're not around. So anyway. Before I forget, let me tell you, if you want to get a copy of this book, Black Labor, White Wealth, you can go to thedrboycelibrary.com. That's thedrboycelibrary.com. There are a lot of other books there that I recommend that you read. I recommend you take a look at them. Also, I suggest that you look at other people's power blueprint. What I love about Dr. Anderson's book is that he says straight up, he says, look, if you want to know how other people came to dominate you, you need to go study them. Don't sit around just being mad. Study what they did. Same thing. This book I've been reading called An Empire of Their Own, How the Jews Invented Hollywood. It's a textbook. I'm like, it gets into the minds of the Jews who built Hollywood. And when I talk about it, there's two types of people. There's either the people that say, wow, tell me more, or I want to read this book, or how did they do it? Because all this stuff that you worship, I know a lot of black actors, actresses, and filmmakers, and all they do is sit around. They ain't talking about trying to do nothing on their own. They all sitting around like, oh, well, I did another audition at Paramount Pictures, and I'm hoping to get picked up for a pilot, and I'm hoping that they come get me. I'm hoping, think about it, again, desperate, low self-esteem, like a little girl. I hope he calls me. Oh, gosh, I hope he calls me, right? Self-esteem, right? But the Jews actually went to Hollywood. They created all of this. They're like, oh, we're going to create this thing, Paramount Pictures, Universal Studios, MGM, all this stuff. They're like, okay, this is a figment of our imagination, but we're going to make it real for you. And then what's going to happen is it's going to be so real for you that you're going to come bow to this in hopes that we accept you. So we're not going to wait for you to accept us. Maybe you'll assimilate us in, maybe not, but you're going to look for us to accept you. And that's a power move. That's a power play. And when I was reading the book, I was truly fascinated with the thinking of these individuals, many of whom started off as poor as you, probably poorer than you. And like just the things that they thought to do with their money. When the Warner Brothers started their studio, they were poor working class people in Youngstown, Ohio, and they all got together and did something any black family could do right now. They all got together, they pulled their family resources together and sold their father's horse, and they bought a projector and started filming movies, started showing movies. William Fox, who started 20th Century Fox, his whole thing was he always said, when I was poor and I was broke, I was obsessed with capital. I needed capital. How do I get capital? How do I get capital? And I was thinking about that, and I said, I see a lot of young black kids that are obsessed with a lot of things, but I rarely see a black kid who says, I need capital. I'm obsessed with capital. Most black kids don't even know what capital is. Right. That's why I've even tried to do videos and show you me training a child on what capital is to encourage you to do these sorts of things with your children. So when I see what our kids are obsessed with, it's like, I need a new iPhone. I need XYZ sneakers. I need I need to get Beyonce tickets or whatever it is. Right. But it's usually not something that is long term. Right. It's not something that involves investment. So anyway, when I tell people about what I'm reading in this book, because I want to know, I'm like, what when you figure the game out and you have power, I want to figure out how you got that power. So, I'm sitting there, analyzing their thinking and, okay, so how did he work through this? And, okay, so he was thinking that, and then he got married, and then this happened, that happened. And so typically when I tell people, there are either people, I'm looking for the thing to turn the air conditioner on because it's really hot right now. Give me a second. Hold on. I'm in Guyana, and it gets super hot every day. So people are either like, ooh, tell me more. I want to know more. Or they're like, oh, but they're Jews, and Jews are white, and so the rules that apply to them don't apply to us. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, goddamn it, I mean, you pretty much have killed your chance to win the game before the game even begins. Is that your exit to laziness? Is that what you're trying to do? Is that how you allow yourself to waste time and sit in front of the TV and sit around doing this? Is because you pretty much say, well, ain't no point in trying to do that because I'm black and they white and black people can't accomplish anything without white people's permission. So you're pretty much a white supremacist. You're pretty much telling me that as a black man, I can't have a doctorate. I can't reach millions of people. I can't build a company because I'm black. And so I might as well not even try. Well, if you don't even try, then you'll never have shit. You'll never have anything if you don't try. What in the hell is wrong with you? What is your alternative solution? Is your only solution to the problem to say that the problem can't be solved? Well, that's not a solution. That's some lazy fucking shit. That's lazy as hell. That's you saying, well, Doc, I mean, there's no point in me reading that book because I mean, you just up here talking about the Jews and thinking we can do what the Jews do. Maybe you can't do everything a Jewish man can do. Maybe the white man has a secret rule that stops you from picking up a goddamn book. Maybe there's something that keeps him from or allows him to keep you from reading a book. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff you can do as a black person in America. I've been waiting, looking out my front door every day for the white man is going to show up and say, Dr. Boyce, we just found out you were reading books and that you're teaching black people, and that's forbidden under the laws of white supremacy, so we're going to have you arrested. I'm waiting for that day. It hasn't happened yet. I have filed the articles of incorporation for several businesses. I have never had a white man show up and say, hi, I'm Mr. White Man, and I heard you're trying to start a business, and we don't let you people start businesses because, by God, I mean, that would just ruin the fabric of American society. So we're going to go ahead and stop this business right now, and we're going to put you in jail because, by God, we can't have black people owning businesses. They don't do that. So what you got to understand is that you've been conditioned to give up before the game even begins. If you forfeit the game before the kickoff, then you have zero chance to win. You went from having a maybe 30% chance of winning to a 0% chance of winning. So I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear any black person sit around telling me why I can't do something because I'm black. Well, you know what? Maybe I can't. Maybe there's a magical wall that stops every black person from ever accomplishing anything in this world. Maybe it's out there, but I need to walk into that damn wall. I need to bump into the wall myself after doing everything I can to get through it. Because at the end of the day, here's another thing too. Here's where you fall behind black people. Here's where you get your ass kicked every single time. You run into the first wall and you say, "Oh, see, there you go. See, every time a black person try to do something, white man gonna stop it," and then you give up. You don't understand. You don't understand the rule of success, man. The rule of success is that you go no matter what you're trying to do. If anything you try to do is worth doing, you will hit wall after wall after wall after wall after wall after wall after wall. And the people who succeed are the ones who solve the problem and keep working through it. So your problem, in most cases, not in every case, you got a lot of problems. You're sick in the head because they made you that way. They've been training you for 250 years to be submissive and all that. I told you it's in Dr. Claude Anderson's book if you want to see the breakdown. But one of your problems is that you have tremendous faith and belief in white supremacy and no faith and belief in yourself. You're like a football team that believes that the other team is so good that no matter what offensive scheme you come up with, they are never going to let you score any touchdowns. So rather than just playing the game out, going out there, going hard, studying the other team and so you can figure out how to stop them, and putting it all on the line to try to get a win, you say, well, what's the point in even practicing? What's the point in even playing in the game? So instead of strategizing and doing X's and O's and putting your energy into something that you think isn't going to work out, you're sitting around doing this, looking for the fucking party, looking for the Mayweather fight, spending all your time sitting around listening to your favorite music all day, talking to your friends about where the liquor and the weed at, where the women at, where, whatever, going to the hairstylist to get your hair done, watching episodes of Empire, Scandal, VH1's 10,000 stupid reality shows designed to destroy black people and destroy the image of the black woman around the world. That's what you spend your time doing because you have such a belief in the religion of white supremacy. Tariq Nasheed hit on this in this film, Hidden Colors 4. I was in Hidden Colors 4. I was glad to be in it. I did it. I did it for Tariq for free. He paid me $500, which I didn't ask for, but I did it for free because I offered to do it for free because I wanted to support this film. I think it's a great movie. You should watch it if you haven't seen it. And you are so deeply committed to the religion of white supremacy that you don't even believe you can even challenge it. You don't believe you can test it. So white supremacy doesn't maintain its power because white people believe in it. That's part of it. It maintains its power because you believe in it that much. It's like a weird superstition or something. So I'm pretty much done. I've been talking for a while. Let me read a little bit more from Dr. Claude Anderson's book, Black Labor, White Wealth. You can get a copy if you want at thedrboycelibrary.com, thedrboycelibrary.com. Also, don't forget, take 1 second, hit the like button, the share button, and all that, and the subscribe button. And also make sure you sign up at drboycewatkins.net to get a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar. That's drboycewatkins.net. Let me finish reading this last paragraph. I want to make sure I read this to you. It says, the process was designed to instill in blacks strict discipline, a sense of inferiority. Pay attention. Strict discipline, a sense of inferiority. So discipline means deep commitment to white supremacist systems. That's why in most major universities, including HBCUs, they don't teach you how to really run a company. They teach you how to work for a company that's run by somebody else. They created these institutions not because they suddenly got this desire to educate black people for altruistic reasons. They created these institutions because they needed workers. And they needed loyal workers with strict discipline, a sense of inferiority. It's your sense of inferiority that leads you to say, black people can only do so much. Belief in the slave owner's superior power. Pay attention to that. Belief in the slave owner's superior power. So when you tell me that, well, no, Dr. Boyce, we can't do what the Jews did because they're white and we're not, what you're doing is you're kind of saying that white people have so much power that no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you plan, no matter how hard you study, no matter how good you are, they're going to decide what your fate is going to be. I don't believe that. If that's what you believe, if that's who you are, you got two choices. You can either adjust your thinking, open your mind, and try to see another point of view, or you can get off of my page and go somewhere else, because why would you want to be here learning all this stuff when there's probably a party to go to? Excuse me. There's probably an episode of Empire to watch. So why waste your time doing something that can't be done? So let's keep going. Acceptance of the owner's standards. Acceptance of the owner's standards. So we pretty much, when it comes to our standards of what success really means, what it means to be black, we see blackness through the lens of whiteness. Our standards of just what it means to really accomplish anything in this world, we leave that in the hands of the white supremacists. So what happens is the white supremacist can destroy you psychologically by taking away a promotion. He can destroy you by calling you a bad name, labeling you a bad Negro, blackballing you from his industry that you weren't born into anyway, right? Like imagine if you had the power to blackball white folks to the point where their self-esteem was gone. They were committing suicide and getting hooked on drugs and trying to kill each other because they can't get you to accept them. How much of a God complex would that give you? Let's keep going. A deep sense of a slave's helplessness. So he said that that's what it is. They want to create a deep sense of helplessness. So, if you're a person who's quicker, for example, to simply pray to God that something will get better as opposed to also doing what you need to do to make it better, that means you have a sense of helplessness. So you kind of might appeal to God because you're thinking, well, I can't do anything, so all I can do is pray. Well, I'm not saying that you're a bad person for praying. If you pray, then keep praying. But after you pray, you got to do something. So, and dependence. We're heavily dependent upon white folks for everything. The reason, if you want to get out of the grip of the majority of white supremacy, you feel a tremendous amount of power when you get to a point in life where a white man ain't paying your bills. I don't really have to talk to white people that often. I talk to white people I talked to a white guy yesterday because, we had a birthday party for one of the kids here, and he came by, and I was like, hey, how you doing, man? Nice to meet you. And and it was cool, but it wasn't sort of a subordinate superior kind of scenario. We did have a CEO that was here, and the big boss, and he was black. So, and I'm a CEO, so we were running things. So you'll find that racism kind of works very differently when black people are in power. When you're the one in power, you're not real prickly and sensitive to what somebody else thinks about you, a white man, Asian. It doesn't matter because you're like, well, I got the power, so if you don't like it, you can just go. So anyway, let me keep reading this. The slave owners strove to cut blacks off from their own history, culture, language, and community, and to inculcate white society's value system. So that's kind of the mind game that's played on you. If I get a chance, I'm going to actually go back to this table where he talks specifically about how he implemented every tactic and all that. But I've been talking for almost an hour, so I'm going to have to run on out of here, guys. But like I said, I mean, slavery is something that's taught. You're probably part slave, as am I. All of us are. And you really have to kind of find ways to work yourself out of it. A good first step would be to get together with your family members and to remember what I said. Every black family should have a family business. If I could get, say 10,000 of you right now to commit to go home with your family and talk about starting a family business, then by sheer statistics, I'm a statistician and a mathematician. My master's degrees were in math and statistics. By sheer statistical, probability theory, at least out of that 10,000, at least a couple hundred of you are going to build businesses that are multi-million-dollar empires. Literally, right now today, if I get you to go sit down with your big mama and them, and on Sunday, I don't care if you don't know what you're doing. Don't worry about all that. God will put the pieces together later on. This is where you can lean on God, I think, in a really healthy, productive way. The universe is God, if that's what you believe in. And the universe has a way of pulling things together and making it work, making it happen. So all you got to do is take that first step. Just say, Sunday, instead of watching football, because we ain't watching no damn football because of the way the NFL's been treating the black players or whatever. So we're going to sit together and we're going to talk for an hour about our family business. What can our family business be? Let's just brainstorm. Let's lay down some ideas, write them all down, and then get started and let nature take its course. Honestly, it's a little bit like making love. First there's a little kiss, and then there's another kiss, then there's a longer kiss, and the kisses get longer, and then there might be a touch, right? Then next thing you know, there's a baby 9 months later. Well, the same thing is true with starting a business. It starts with a tiny conversation, which becomes a longer conversation, which becomes, a more deeply involved connection. Next thing you know, 9 months later, a business is being born. So go make some babies, make some economic babies, so you can populate the earth in your own image instead of always bowing down to somebody else's image That's my assignment for you today. It would make no sense for me to talk to you without giving you something specific that I think you can do. And I really am willing to bet you that if you do it, you're going to come back to me next week and you're going to be a whole different person. So I know that probably about, based on the numbers, I'm guessing maybe 100,000 of you will watch this video by the time it's done, by the time we finish pushing it around on social media and all that. I just need 10,000 of you to take that plunge right now. Just say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get together. I'm going to call my sister right now. I'm going to call my brother, my cousin, grandma. Get your relatives that got some sense. You know, you ain't got to bring the crazy crackhead relatives in if you don't want to. And just get a couple of them, maybe 3 or 4, and start the conversation and see where it leads. You know, and anyway, that's it. That's the best I can give you today. I'm going to go. If you want to also get some more guidance from me on this, you can get a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, by going to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. A lot of families are reading that book together, and they find it to be a great investment. You can also learn about our programs for children, like we have our new real estate program and things like that. We also have the Black Wealth Boot Camp for adults. You can go to blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. And also, as I mentioned before, the All Black National Convention takes place September 29th through October 1st. You can learn more at allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Also, if you're in London, go and buy your tickets early before we sell out. You can go to drboycelondon.com. That's drboycelondon.com. I'm out of here, guys. It was great talking to you, and thank you for being patient with me as I sometimes cuss a little bit. But believe me, I don't even plan on what I'm going to say. I just let the Spirit move me, because I do believe in God in that way, and I think that I feel that there's a mission from God for all of us, a mission from the universe that says if we move forward, we will win. Black people can't lose. We're the original man, the original woman. We survived the Middle Passage. They can't kill us. They can't kill the Spirit. We too great for that. So go out and be great. I'll talk to you guys soon. Love you. Peace.